watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome to Let's Talk Business. My name is Kelly Bolton. Thank you for tuning in as we have the distinct pleasure of hosting our community's foremost leaders and entrepreneurs. As advisors, we work closely with individuals and businesses to plan and prepare for both financial success and unforeseen hardships, which seem to have been in abundance this year, particularly for our small business owners. Today, we hear from one of Memphis's beloved business owners about the impact of COVID-19 on the restaurant industry and the creative way he has adapted to continue serving the Memphis community. We're honored to have with us Vice President of the Memphis Restaurant Association and owner of Kooky Canuck, Mr. Shawn Danko. Shawn, thank you. I appreciate you helping me. I have destroyed the name of your restaurant since I ate the first ginormous burger there. So, no, and I didn't eat the whole thing, but we'll come back to that. But thank you so much for joining us on the show today. You know, looking back at your career, Shawn, how did you get started and how did you end up deciding that you wanted to be in the restaurant industry?
Yeah, it started way back in time for me. My parents had a cafe in Toronto, Canada, and they actually had two. And then my uncle had bars and restaurants in Montreal. And so from a very young age, I was around the environment. And then working through university and finishing up high school, I was in the bar business. I was doing security, working at nightclubs. And so I've always been around it. And then I spent 13 years with Hard Rock Cafe. And that led me to move on towards my own concept.
Interesting. Well, and so how long have you actually been in the restaurant industry and how long have you been with Kooky Canuck?
Well, gosh, it was 13 years with Hard Rock, and Kooky Canuck just turned 15 this year.
Right.
And then before that, countless years before. So 28 off the top, and then we'll add a few extra on the front side.
That's interesting. Well, I love that you're smiling, so you must still love what you do.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. This is definitely the right business. It's been challenging, of course, of late. So COVID has made you think a lot about what you do in the hospitality business, that's for sure.
Yes, and it's a whole different type of hospitality, which, I'd love to ask you about that because I was going to ask you about what makes the restaurant industry different than other industries. And I would say the hospitality portion of it is really a very big part of it. So, tell me a little bit about that and how you've adapted in this new world that we're in of a pandemic.
Yeah, hospitality in the world of hospitality during COVID is challenging, and that's an understatement. So when you're used to dealing with people face to face and contact, people sitting at your bar, and you're having those conversations on a daily basis, and you're shaking people's hands as they walk in the door, and you're giving people hugs, and you're seeing the kids that you've seen grow up over the years. So this is what what we've used to been doing, and it's challenging. And like I say, that's an understatement, because now when you can't shake hands and you can't give hugs and people's faces are completely covered, and you as an operator or anybody working in the business don't have the opportunity to pull your mask down, you can see other people's faces, but they can't see you. And so it's challenging. It's really hard to communicate with the guests. Some guests are weary. You can't get too close. And it's hard to recognize people too,
I bet.
Even people that have been coming into your restaurant for years, they walk in with a mask. It takes you a moment to grasp. So it is really, really difficult offering and delivering hospitality in this situation. And there's no easy answer for it too. You got to put a smile on underneath your mask. And I think my wife likes to use the term smile, smize with the eyes. And
yes, I love that.
Anyways.
That's true. It is so true. Yeah, that's very true. Well, and and hospitality now it has taken another form. I mean, if you get close enough for an elbow bump or, whatever that might be, and you just making them feel safe, I guess, is the important part of hospitality now. And, you being a local restaurant, how does your restaurant differ from that of the corporate restaurant world, where we see, whether it's chain fast food or chain restaurants that you can find in every city? What is it like to own yours?
Yeah, well, really, at the end of the day, hospitality is hospitality. Whether it's a corporate chain or whether it's a local mom and pop, the concept remains the same. The corporate restaurants have access to a lot more tools than the mom and pop would. So, they've got corporate chefs, they've got corporate accountants, they've got everybody at a corporate office, and so they have a lot more resources at their fingertips than mom and pops typically would, which makes it a little bit more challenging for the mom and pops because you don't have those experts at the corporate level in which to refer to. So you've got to become the expert. Right? You've got to become the expert accountant. You've got to become the expert chef. You've got to become the expert at service. So you got to put on a lot more hats than a general manager would at a corporate restaurant, because you have to be the expert. You can't refer. There's nobody to refer to. You may have an accountant that you use, or you may have somebody that's good at what they do, and you can always pick up the phone. But yeah, you wear a lot more hats as an independent mom and pop business owner than you would at the corporate level, at the unit.
So. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I guess the buck stops with you. If somebody calls in sick, you're probably flipping a burger or greeting somebody at the door, or you're working the bar. I mean, you do what you got to do to make it happen. And I'm sure being a part of, we talked about in the introduction to you, that you're vice president of the Restaurant Association for Memphis. And I'm sure you use those resources and tap in, like, hey, who's a good person to talk to if I'm running into this issue? Or am I correct on that?
Absolutely, and that's why the Restaurant Association is so vital. It's vital to our community here in Memphis, and every community that has a restaurant association. It's a resource for small business operators, whether it's in this case restaurants, to pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I'm really not quite sure. It's tax time that's coming up, and I'm unclear in just certain tax regulations. And you can pick up that phone, and you've got a wealth of resources at your fingertips just within the restaurant community alone. And that's vital. And that's why people need to get involved in the Restaurant Association wherever they are, whether it's Memphis or other cities, is that, you've got resources that are available to you every single day. And by gosh, use them. Use them. Because,
absolutely.
There's nothing worse than, you hear about bad things happen or horror stories for small businesses, and they get themselves into trouble. Why? Because they didn't use the resources. They didn't call. They didn't ask for help. They tried to go it alone and found themselves in bad situations. So, yeah, I always tell people, nobody is ever too busy to pick up the phone for a fellow operator.
That's
and somebody who's an operator in our city, and they call, man, I got you. Whatever you need, we're going to figure it out. And if you don't know the answer, I'm going to direct you to whoever has the answer.
Well, that's great. Well, I appreciate it. We're going to pause now for a short break. Please don't go away. We'll continue our discussion with Shawn Danko.
GHS-TV started in 1982, and it was just a couple of cameras, a couple of on-air personality, and it's really grown into what you see today. It's a multi-million-dollar studio with top-of-the-line technology.
Being able to operate, all of the machinery in the control room, being able to use all of our software and hardware that we have around the studio is a great skill because this is top-of-the-line equipment.
I feel like this class has brightened my horizon. It's something that I never thought I would be doing, especially as a student.
GHS-TV is probably one of the most hands-on experiences a student will ever get in their lifetime.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. Nothing really has just the vibe that we have here.
Especially after you finish, you get a real rush of, wow, I just did that.
By the time a student graduates from Germantown High School, they will know pretty much every position there is, from producing to directing to on-air work.
You learn time management, you learn organization, you learn how to work with people, how to better communicate with people.
We put a lot on them, and they have to be able to have the responsibility and the knowledge to get everything that we ask them.
I had very little experience, so in the past 3 years, the skills that I've learned have absolutely exponentially grown.
The class has actually helped me figure out that I want to go to college for journalism.
When a student graduates, they are the best possible version of themselves that they can be.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Business. If you're just tuning in, I am Kelly Bolton, and today we've been discussing the impact of the coronavirus on the small business owners and the story of success and evolution of one Memphis restaurant owner. With us again is Shawn Danko, and he's going to tell us about his story and how he's adapted to change in the industry. Thank you, Shawn, for joining us again. We were kind of talking about the restaurant industry and this coronavirus world. And one thing I'd like to ask you is, you know, we all hear as patrons of a restaurant, which I'm a big foodie, by the way, we all hear that it's a risky business to be in. And then with me being a big foodie and then recognizing that it's a risky business and then COVID hits, I'm sure it presented just unprecedented challenges for you as a business owner and as a person who enjoys what they're doing. So can you talk to us a little bit about the challenges that you face in the pre-COVID world and how that's evolving and maybe how you'll adapt in the post-COVID world? Because I'm counting on there being a post-COVID world.
Sure. Yeah, just on the front side, yeah, it's an extremely risky business to get into. It's very capital heavy when you first get into your restaurant. And a lot can go wrong very quickly. And just remember that, most restaurants, if they're doing great, on a full service side, if they make 6 or 7 cents of every dollar, they're doing pretty well. And if you're doing 10 cents on every dollar, you're doing excellent. But that's the margin that you're dealing with. So there's a lot that can go wrong very quickly if you're not managing your business on a daily basis. And I truly mean daily basis. I don't mean managing it from month to month or week to week. It's got to be daily because you could find yourself upside down in the course of 1 or 2 weeks and be in a really tough cash position. So that being said, COVID rolls around and now you got to manage declining sales. And declining sales in our case, we're down 60% at one location and 45% at another location. So huge reduction in sales. How do you manage your labor, your food costs, which is 65% of every dollar? How do you manage that while still trying to pay your rent, still trying to pay your bank note, and keep the lights on? So you got to be really frugal. You got to watch. You got to put the microscope, and that's really the best way to put it. Is that you got to, instead of looking at it through a magnifying glass, you got to look through a microscope. You got to figure out how to make every cent count. And be as efficient as you possibly can. And I think you've seen, as maybe on the plus side of COVID, is operators have learned to be a lot more efficient in their operating systems and how they operate on a daily basis. So that could be the one of the few positives of COVID is that people have learned to be a lot more frugal with their money and do a lot more with less. Right. But when you're down 60% in sales, it's a tough deal.
Wake up call,
It's a
right?
really tough deal. And the human part of it is that you've let people go. So when we look at back to March 19th when Memphis shut down, we let 75 of 79 people go.
Right.
Horrible. Easily one of the worst days in my hospitality career.
I can imagine.
Letting everybody except for 4 individuals to run the business and then try to figure it out. So you had to be really quick on your feet through COVID, very, very fast. Whether you're reducing your menu, how did you adapt to go, whether you were doing third-party delivery, catering, how did you redefine your menu to be more cost-effective, because there was items that just didn't make sense. And we did the same thing. We reduced our menu by at least 2/3 to at least get our core brand out there, but also not jeopardize the cost of sales line. So thinking quick on your feet, being able to adapt, these were all keys to a COVID world. And then post-COVID world, man, I hope I think talking to industry experts, we're looking at, maybe end of Q1, possibly into Q2 before things start to move again. So now the next 3 to 6 months will again be, hey, just staying as efficient and effective and cost effective as possible. Let's hope it's the end of Q1 when we see movement.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that you that was kind of apparent in your answer to me was that you were talking definitely from the standpoint of a businessman and not someone that just prepares wonderful food. And I think, if I'm guessing, I could be wrong, that probably that could be for people that are in the restaurant industry. Sometimes they're wonderful chefs who started something because their passion is food and they're more artistic in nature and they're using that side of their brain and not the financial side of their brain. And probably, if I was guessing, that would probably be one of the things that will help you survive and has helped you survive in all these years, is that you've thought about it both from the artistic side and the financial side.
Yeah, and you're right. There are some folks out there that are chefs, restaurants that are very chef centric, and the food is what they do, and that's their the biggest tool they have in their box. Mm-hmm. But the financial side is really key through this. Is that you can't put great food on the plate if you're out of business. It just doesn't work. So, right now the financial side is absolutely key. If you're not quite sure, you need to get the help required to hone the business, to get it to a point where it's able to stay afloat on its own, and then come back on the creative side and do whatever you want to do. But it's really the financial first, and then the creative second. I know it's difficult. It's tough to be creative in this period too. Like it drained. I know for me personally, it drained me. It was very tough to be creative when you're worried about, whether your business was going to be there tomorrow or not.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, thank you. We're going to pause again for a short break. When we return, we will hear from Shawn Danko on the future of the restaurant industry and ways the community can better support our local business owners' success. So please stick around.
We see the potential in every single student.
That sounds like a confession to me.
I love watching these kids as they start as freshmen in high school and watching them mature and grow.
At last, my right arm is complete again!
The theater program at GHS, it's something special.
Is very intensive, it's very interactive. When a student starts here their freshman year, they start with introduction to theater. And after that year, they have a choice to either go into acting or technical theater. And then after that, they join our production workshop class. It's the class that is completely run by students.
The students do mostly everything. We build the sets, we do lighting, we make the costumes, we do the show.
We've got magic, we've got power.
It's very fun. I mean, everybody's very supportive of each other.
Now we're all in this together.
It's taught me so much about how to act and how to have a stage presence.
Not only are we teaching the students the skills that they need to be a great performer or a great stage manager or a wonderful lighting designer, we're teaching them skills that they're going to be able to apply to whatever they do in their life.
God bless us, everyone.
This department not only makes wonderful theater, but more importantly, this department makes wonderful people.
I won! I'm good! Get used to it!
For more more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Business. I'm Kelly Bolton, and today we've been addressing how COVID-19 has impacted the restaurant industry, the creative ways business owners have adapted, and how our community can help support the industry. We've been delighted to have Shawn Danko share with us his experience in the restaurant business and the major impact of this last year. So, Shawn, thanks for coming back. I want to ask you this right out of the gate because I want to make sure we get to this. Let's talk about the 12-pound burger. Has anyone ever eaten the burger, and did they live to tell about it?
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question right there.
Yes.
All right, so we actually have 3 large burgers. So we have a 4-pound burger, which is a 1-person challenge, a 6-pound burger, which is a 2-person challenge, and then the 12-pound burger, which is a 4-person challenge. All the challenges you have to do in 1 hour.
Right.
If we look at the 4-pound, the record for this, now hang on to your seat, is, well, I won't give you the time just yet. All right, so it's 4 pounds of meat, 2 pounds of bun, and 1.5 pounds of lettuce, tomato, cheese, onions, and pickles. So it's 7.5 pounds, 12,385 calories. And the record, believe it or not, it is true, 4 minutes, 43 seconds. 4 minutes and 43 seconds.
I bet that wasn't a pretty sight to watch that person eat that.
Well, it's really not. It goes so fast. 4 minutes goes quickly. It's like a magician making things disappear before your eyes. It's incredible.
My gosh. So the 4-pound, okay, so the next size, and that's a 2-person challenge.
Correct.
But it's 4 pounds, but it's just 4 pounds of meat. You got to add all the other stuff. So it's getting on up there in size.
Yeah, so the next one at 6 pounds, you're weighing in right at around 12 pounds total.
Okay.
So 6 pounds of beef in the bun, lettuce, tomato, onion, cheese, and pickles, you're right at about 12 pounds, 18,000 calories. And then the 12-pound burger, it weighs just under 25 pounds total for 4 people.
And how many times has that been eaten by 4 people?
Once. And it was actually a group from Spain. 4 guys traveled all the way from Spain to the United States to tackle the humunga Cucamonga at 25 pounds, and they completed it right at around 40. I think it was 45 minutes is what they did.
That is amazing. So altogether, it's about 20 pounds, but then the 4-pound burger is almost 10 pounds. Well,
that's correct.
So I guess that's unbelievable. I will not be coming to challenge. I will not take the people from Spain up on that. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you can bring the family and
but
split
not like that. So, well, I wanted to make sure I covered that. Let's talk a little bit about what our community can do to support you, because we want you to stick around. We want other restaurants to stick around. It's a vital part of our community, and not only do you provide us a service, but you provide jobs too, and it's a way that we can treat ourselves without leaving the city, and then you entertain those people coming from Spain. So what can we do to support you?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things, and this holiday time, gift certificates are a great way to support local business. Get out there and buy gift certificates from restaurants and put those under the tree for your family and friends. It's a great way to support. If you're going to do staff incentives, buying gift certificates from restaurants. Great thing to do. I know not a lot of people are doing holiday parties, but a lot of restaurants are still catering. So maybe it's box lunch scenarios or box dinners that people are socially distanced in the workplace. We can do the box lunches and bring those to businesses in a safe manner. So there's still some catering opportunities. And then when it comes to just coming to eat with your family, we provide super safe environments. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time. We abide by health codes, and we will continue to abide by health codes. We are super tight when it comes to keeping things clean and sanitary and safe. So come and eat with us.
That's
Don't
wonderful.
be afraid. Come and eat with us.
That's great.
And Yeah, and if you're going to order to go or takeaway, come and do it directly. I know there's a lot of third-party options out there, but those take a lot of money away from the restaurant directly. And so, really, if you're going to support, I'll head to the restaurant directly and come pick up orders. That's the single easiest way to.
That's good to know, because during the pandemic, I've actually done much more of that instead of ordering a delivery service. I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I just did. And I never really thought about the delivery taking from the restaurant. I guess in my head, I was paying the delivery driver a fee and you weren't paying them, but I didn't think about that. So that's good to know. And what about the programs that have helped you survive this, the PPP program? How has that worked, and has it been beneficial for you as a restaurant owner?
I think I speak for not only myself, but for many, many small business operators out there, that without the payroll protection program, many of us, majority of us, wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. There's no doubt about that. The payroll protection program saved a lot of people. Now, there are some challenges coming up as this program comes to an end at the end of December, that business operators need to understand that payroll protection money that you received is taxable. It is taxable. The expenses that you paid with the payroll protection program are taxable dollars. And if you didn't see a loss, or didn't see a loss big enough to cover what you received from the program, you're going to be paying taxes on it. So I put that out there for people to be wary when tax time rolls around. Make sure you consult your tax attorney, tax consultants, and figure out what your tax exposure is coming into this tax season with the payroll protection program.
Point.
So that
because it was
potential for a lot of people.
Yeah, because it was there to offset the loss, not to create just extra money, which
Correct.
is good. And in closing, what would we've got about 60 seconds left. If someone was wanting to enter the restaurant industry, what advice would you give them?
You have to be able to visualize your concept from start to finish. You have to be able to close your eyes and see everything. You have to be able to smell the food, see the interior of your restaurant, hear everything, see people moving around. You have to be able to visualize your concept. And then don't do anything if you're not in the restaurant business and you haven't talked to people in the industry. That would be the first step. Talk to people in the industry. They can give you a lot of information before you get going on that journey.
That's great. Well, I thank you very much for your time today, and I wish we had more time, but I'll be not coming in for the challenge, but coming in to dine very soon. So thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
Once again, I want to thank our guest, Shawn Danko, Vice President of the Memphis Restaurant Association, for joining us today. For more information on our show, you can check us out on the web at GHS-TV.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We hope you will join us again next month on Let's Talk Business.